Hello and welcome to today's video. Being a pen reviewer, I am in a very fortunate position to work with a number of brands. And occasionally new brands pop up and they get in touch with you and ask you to review their pens. And generally I say yes, because I'm keen to see, what is happening in the pen world and to give my feedback and advice. Today's pen is one of those. And I have to say, as soon as I got it in my hands, I was really excited. This is a pen from Eureka. This is the Symmetry Fountain Pen made out of the highly engineered plastic called PEEK. So I'm going to talk about the pen and all that kind of stuff. Okay, this is how the pen comes packaged. It is very simple. They're made in South Korea, and as I said, it's made from the super engineering plastic PEEK, and this is the pen. This is the Symmetry Fountain Pen. Now, Eureka seems to be a fairly new pen brand, and they've got a couple of models underway, and this is the one that's been getting sort of the most attention recently. So as I said, this is made from PEEK. PEEK is a super engineering plastic that is generally used in semiconductor equipment and medical equipment. Basically places where sort of standard plastics lack the strength. It's got high chemical resistance, high temperature resistance, water resistance, strength, and durability. So in my opinion, that makes for a pretty decent fountain pen material. So I'm going to talk about the parts and features. I'll do a writing sample, size comparisons, all that kind of stuff, and then give you my pros and cons. Starting at the top of the pen, it's very simple. It's just this plastic dome. The cap swells up to this center point and then sort of continues along. There is a very small step down onto the barrel. The barrel continues along and then tapers to another plastic dome. The cap screws off in about 2 turns, maybe just under, and reveals a step down onto some nicely machined threads, and then a tapered section with a little flare, and then a number 6 250 Bock nib, and this is a medium, and this is the 2-tone version of it, and a nice plastic feed there. The pen is standard international cartridge converter, and it comes with a converter, and it's got some nice threads in there. And I suppose, seeing as though this is one piece of plastic and it's it's well made and all that, with a bit of silicone grease on the threads and maybe an O-ring at the top there, you could probably get away with eyedropping this, and that'll give you a huge ink capacity. But it does come with a nice converter, and as I said, standard international cartridges will fit as well. So lots of good options for filling this pen. This is the tapered grip section, and it is actually offered with a number of different grip sections. So go onto the website. I'll link to their website down below. It's still pretty basic in getting going, but it's got some good information on it. And you can check out what else they have on offer. When I was looking at it as I'm filming this, a lot of these were sold out, but I assume, given I think the positive response to the pen, it'll continue to be in production over time. So the Symmetry pen does post, but I really don't think you need to. This is a good size pen, and it doesn't post super securely on there. So I probably wouldn't post it, but as you can see, it's got a nice long section and a good width section, and a nice sort of decent size barrel there. So it feels very comfortable in the hand. This is an interesting material. It's got a unique feel to it. It's kind of, there's like, I don't know how well the camera will pick this up. I'll try and get a better photo of it. But you can see like little micro machining marks and things like that, which I really like. It just stops it being just another sort of plastic pen in the hand. And it's also not slippery at all. It's a good, shape section for that. But also like just the feel of that material. It's also not a super light plastic material. So it's kind of substantial in your hand. One thing I really like is on the website they talk about the nibs being personally adjusted for ink flow. So basically they're tuned and they're smoothed, and they're made sure that they actually write really, really well. And as you'll see in the writing sample in just a little bit, this absolutely writes beautifully. Okay, let's do a size comparison now with the Eureka Symmetry PEEK Fountain Pen. I have the Lamy Safari here, standard size Safari, and then I have the Gravitas Pen's Delrin. Now, the reason I have pulled that pen up is because I think it's both in terms of the size, it's quite similar. This is a pen that has been getting a lot of attention recently, this Century size model from Gravitas, and the Delrin and a couple of other, highly engineered industrial kind of plastics. And so that's why I put it alongside this. It's another one of these, and I think it's a really good size comparison. Very different pen, but a good size comparison. Uncapped, you see that size comparison continues well with the Delrin there, and then it's bigger than the Lamy Safari, and of course with that number 6 size nib, it feels a good size pen in the hand. It really does. And then posted, you see this is a really long pen. As I said, you don't need to post this. We shouldn't need to, and also doesn't post super securely, but it is quite a long pen when posted. So what are the dimensions of the Eureka Symmetry? Well, it is 146 millimeters when it is capped. Really good size pen. It is 139 millimeters when it is uncapped, which makes it actually only a couple of millimeters shorter than the capped Lamy Safari. This is a big pen, and it's 193 when it is posted, so you really don't need to do that at all. The grip section is a really good size, so it ranges from around 12 millimeters to 10. So where you're holding it around the middle there, it's around the 11, so it's a nice sort of size, and you don't notice the step down or those threads, even though the threads are they're not sharp at all there, but you do feel them. But because that is a nice long section and a number 6 size nib, of course, for a good length away from the page, I don't ever find myself creeping back to hold those. It's always in front of it. The width of the widest part of the pen body is the cap here, and that's about 15 millimeters. So, as I said, this is a nice, decently sized pen. The weight of the pen in total is 25 grams, 7 in the body and 18 in the cap. So even if you did decide to post it, it doesn't throw the balance out. It's not a weight balance issue, it's a length kind of issue, and also the fact that it doesn't post super securely. But at this sort of length, at 18 grams, as I said, it's a nice size and weight in the hand. Let's do a writing sample now with the Eureka Symmetry. As I said, this is Peak. This has a steel number 6 Bock nib. Here I said that's a medium. The ink I have in here is Colorverse Coffee Break. Something about this brown ink with the sort of that grey cream sort of coloured pen body I thought worked quite nicely. It's a writing sample. Okay, so I think this pen writes really, really well. It's smooth. There's a hint of feedback, but it is absolutely not an unpleasant feedback in any way. It's just not glassy smooth. But I would say it's definitely smooth, and I would say the ink flow is pretty good. It's not a gusher, but it's nice and it is nice and wet. Fast writing. Okay, obviously it's not designed to be legible, it's designed to test the flow, and it keeps up beautifully. There's no hard starts. I've never had a hard start, actually. It's never hard started or skipped or anything like that. It writes beautifully. I've not always been the biggest fan of Bock nibs. I do prefer other brands of nib, but this one writes beautifully. Reverse writing. It's scratchy, but gets the job done. It is not a flex nib. It is stiff. Bock nibs are stiff, but as I said, nice flow. This is a lovely pen. It's a lovely pen to write with. It's a lovely pen in the hand. It writes beautifully. I don't know what the limitations on Peak are in terms of, the colours of the material or anything like that. That's outside of my knowledge base. But it's I like this. I like this design. I like this sort of color. I like how the pen feels in my hand. Okay, cons. This is hard. Like, the only cons I can come up with are things that aren't cons for me, but just might be cons for some people. First is that it doesn't have a clip or a roll stop, so it rolls around a little bit on your desk. If that's a problem for you, that's a problem for you. It's not for me. I don't mind a clipless pen. The other issue will be that this color and this design may be a little bit plain for some people. But as I said, I like it. I like the color. I like the simplicity of it. I like the elegance of it. It works for me. And it isn't white. It is like, once again, I'll hold it alongside that white paper. You can see it's not white. It's a sort of it's almost a grey, taupey sort of color. But there are so many pros to this pen. Firstly, the size. Posted, it's a big pen, like it's a good size pen. But when it's in your hand, it feels substantial. It's got a nice width grip section. It's got a nice length and girth to the pen, and also it's got a nice weight. And I really do enjoy the weight of this pen. You don't feel it necessarily in your hand, but you know it's there. It's a hard thing to explain, but that's how it feels. Another thing I love is the feel of this, and I'm saying machined plastic. You can feel the machining of the pen, and I like that. I love this nib. It's smooth, it's consistent, it's reliable. You know, both the inks I've had in this pen wrote beautifully. So this Coffee Break ink I showed, and then of course Waterman Serenity Blue, both wrote beautifully in this pen. It feels really pleasant to write with. On a personal level, I love the look of this pen. It's a simple pen. It's not going to be to everyone's taste, but I love it. I think it looks great. And then the other thing I want to talk about, is the price point. So, as I said, these are made out of South Korea and sent from South Korea. So these prices are not including postage. That is, you know, separate issue depending on where you are. But the price range for the Symmetry model, ranging from the different payment options and nibs and grip sections and all that, ranges from $50 to $70 US, which I think is a really attractive price point for this pen. It's more than your Safaris and things like that, but it's a small company manufacturing these pens, and they're making them to very high standards. Like, all the threads are beautifully done. They lock nicely. I've never had a problem with like cross threading or anything like that. Which I think they're triple start threads, perhaps. Everything is nice. It's well made. It's beautifully done. It uses a Bock nib. It comes with a converter. All these things. So this price point, I think, is really great. So, basically, in conclusion, if you didn't get it already, I love this pen. I think this is great. It's a good size, writes well, does all the things I need it to do. So this is a brand I think is interesting. I'd be very keen to see what they do next, what they come up with, how they continue to grow, and how they're taken on by the pen community using interesting materials and doing, these sort of elegant, simple designs. It could be very interesting. So this was the Eureka Fountain Pens Symmetry in Peak material. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, hit the notifications button, all of that kind of stuff. If you've got a product you think I should be looking at, or if there's a way you would like to support my channel, I would love to hear from you. It is your support that makes this channel possible, after all. A big thank you to Eureka for sending this pen out for review. I always love looking at new pen models and new pen brands, so it was it was really nice to find something that actually I really enjoyed so much. So thank you for watching, and until next time, I'll talk to you later.